Hello and welcome to Where's the Bandwagon? My name is Will and sat alongside me is Ty.
Hello.
And we're going to be talking movies and sports and games and pop culture as we try and find the bandwagon and see what people are jumping on. This week we're kind of making a deal with the devil because we're doing TikTokers and YouTubers boxing. Specifically we're going to be talking about the YouTube versus TikTok boxing event that's coming out that will be out in June. And we'll also be talking about the annoyingly successful career of Mr. Jake Paul. So in this podcast, firstly, we'll watch and react to the YouTube versus TikTok trailer. We'll go through the fight card and the details, diving specifically into a couple of the biggest members. And then we'll talk about Jake Paul. We'll talk about him, we'll talk about his boxing history and the announcement that was made yesterday about his big brother, Logan. So, Ty, I'm a big YouTube guy, I follow quite a lot of their stuff. How much do you know about the YouTube boxing scene?
Not much really. I think the last YouTube fight I watched was KSI Logan Paul.
Which one?
The second one.
The second one, right.
And then after that there is like another video of Joe Weller getting knocked up by Jake Paul. That's about it.
Yeah, I think that happened before that fight.
Yeah, but that's about it. And no, that's all I know about the YouTube scene in boxing, really.
That was great because it provides us content when you have to react to them. Because I initially for this podcast I was going to do the history of YouTube boxing because I think that will make a great podcast in the future. But in this one, just to keep relevant, because we are meant to be doing that, although we're failing considerably at it so far, we're going to be talking about the YouTube versus TikTok boxing that's coming up and the Jake Paul boxing match that just ended and his career. So when we're talking about YouTube boxing, you said you haven't known much. If I was to throw out these names, which are big names in YouTube boxing scene, such as Anisong Gibb,
I don't know who
Big Gibber, 7-figure Gibber.
No,
he's fantastic and amazing, and you'll love him so much when I introduce you to him. What about if I talk about someone like Bryce Hall?
I've heard of him.
Of Bryce Hall? Okay, he might be coming up a little bit later. You must know Deji Olatunji.
Yeah,
Deji Olatunji.
But I know Deji from like 2016.
You know him from like old school KSI. That's the best.
I don't know if Deji has changed. KSI has changed a lot. I don't know if Deji has. But yeah.
Yeah, speaking of, my God, there's so much YouTube history you've missed, and like drama and falling outs and getting back together. I think we have plenty of content, and I'd love to see your reaction, listen to your reaction of them in the future. So first off, Ty, the audio listeners at home, we're just gonna turn off the audio while we watch the TikTok versus YouTube.
I don't think I've seen this yet.
Trailer. Actually. You haven't seen the trailer?
No,
That's good. We're going to watch the YouTubers versus TikTok trailer, and then we'll come back and listen to your immediate reaction. Right, so that was the YouTubers versus TikTokers trailer. Ty, what's your reaction? Go.
I'm sorry, but I really didn't like that. It is so cringy. It's
like
just so over dramatic.
I thought they did a good job of trying to make it dramatic and professional.
I feel because it's YouTubers and TikTokers, they had to, go over the top with the drama in order to build that tension. But I don't think the quality of the fighting is going to be that great,
I think they've done well to hide the fact that these are all, people that probably haven't. Yeah. Most of these people haven't boxed before, but of course, there is promotion, man. They've got to make it dramatic.
Have they made it clear if it's going to be like professional or amateur? So are they going to be having headgears and that? Because
I don't know.
If I'm paying money to watch this, I want to see people's face smashed in.
I don't know. I'll look that up while you talk about the rest of the trailer.
I just don't know, mate. I think I do know what's the guy from the Ace family called. I only know him from there.
Austin McBurry.
Yeah, that's if you'd said it's the guy from the Ace family, then I would know who that is. But other than that, no.
I would say we can't see anything here. I would say the odds are it will be with headgear on, just because you have to become a professional. You have to register and become a professional boxer to. Without the headgear.
Is it actually 5 million for the winner of the main event?
Who knows?
Because
it might not even be for the winner. It might just be you get it for turning up. It might be. We don't know.
It might be. Yeah. Fighting with headgear on for 5 million. I'm sorry, but boxing is a very serious sport, and these guys are just making a mockery of it.
Well, that's very interesting because when YouTube turned to boxing. I think 2018 when it first started, there were, YouTubers were there was one side of it where boxing fans were going, it's good because there's a new generation of boxing fans coming into the sport, and they're following their celebrities, and these guys get major views, like when we're talking when Eddie Hearn comes in. But there was another side of boxing fans that were like, which is the kind of view you've kind of displayed, which is that they're making a mockery of the sport.
They are, but you would also think that there's boxers out here that's working their ass off in the gym, and they will make as much money as these guys just
probably
are
less.
just turning up. Yeah. You know, there's guys that box and they'll have a long amateur career before they even go professional. You're not guaranteed to make that money once you turn professional. And these guys are just fighting in headgear and making $5 million in headgear. I'm sure there will be.
I mean, me personally, it's like fighting is insanely. You have to respect it. You have to respect the sport. But talk about where's the money come from in boxing? The entertainers. There's a reason why there's a viral video of that MMA fighter doing like the moonwalk and then he gets knocked out. Because he would rather entertain the crowd and get knocked out in the hopes that he gets picked up by big mainstream media and gets lots of fans than would focus entirely on the fight, because it is about entertainment. You know, Muhammad Ali, Conor McGregor has been, you know, he's a great fighter and he does back it up, but he entertains, and that's why people love him, and that's why he gets paid the big bucks.
That is true.
And this is no different in my opinion. These guys are entertainers.
I can't get mad at this. You know, it's no like one of the. It's not like it's one of the big promoters that's hosting this. I've never heard of Social Gloves.
Yeah, I had never heard of Social Gloves before.
You know, it's not like these like promoters are choosing to promote this fight instead of like regular boxers. I can't be mad at it. These guys are making their money, you know.
Yeah, at the end
of it, you know, YouTube and TikTok is about how many views you can get. I'm sure a lot of people will watch this. They'll make a lot of money. So I understand it. But at the same time, I think they're making a mockery out of boxing.
Okay, that's a very strong opinion. That's fair enough. I would, just before we continue, I'd just like to apologise. We're looking after my friend's dog and he's yelping like an arsehole downstairs. So sorry if that picks up on the microphone. And also, there will be a couple of people coming over downstairs, so hopefully you don't pick up on their supremely boring conversations, whatever they're talking about downstairs. But so talking about the views, when we talk about these people, there's a couple of people that stand out for me and you. You know, Deji Olatunji, it's fair to say we both know who he is. The rest of them, it's fair to say that I've heard of FaZe Jarvis, who is second from the top on the left there, and I've heard of Vinny Hacker, mainly actually just because I'd heard that Deji was fighting him. Apart from that, I hadn't really heard of many of these people, which is coming from the person which has said they know a lot about YouTube is kind of laughable.
Most of them are Americans, maybe? Or is there a few British guys in there as well?
It's very American-based.
Yeah.
Obviously, the TikTok side, I wouldn't know any of them. We're too old for that. Like, we're not boomers, but we're getting to. If we just look at the card, there are 7 fights. The first one is Tanner Fox versus Nick Austin. No idea who any of those two are. We got FaZe Jarvis versus Michael Lee. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing all these names right. By the way, I don't know who Michael Lee is, but FaZe Jarvis, he's part of FaZe Clan, but I've heard of him because he was on the news, on YouTube news, fairly recently, because he's a Fortnite player, and he got banned from playing Fortnite.
Oh wow!
He wasn't doing anything malicious. If memory serves, he was just experimenting with stuff for entertainment wise. He wasn't doing anything in a competitive environment like cheating. He was just doing something. I'm not sure, but he got banned from playing Fortnite, which is obviously the main source of revenue. So his career, you know, at the time it was like, this guy's career's over. You know, if what he does is and that. We've got DDG versus Nate Wyatt. Any ideas?
No.
Nope. Again.
Yeah,
now we have a U-pick empty slot versus Taylor Holder. Now Taylor Holder has been branded as kind of like the second biggest person on the TikTok side. I might be getting that wrong, but I'm pretty sure. So the U-pick versus that was quite big. Now a big player in the YouTube boxing scene is a man called Anison Gibb. He has fought Jake Paul. He fought in the Logan Paul versus KSI 1. He was very close to fighting on the Eddie Hearn card of KSI versus Logan Paul 2. And he fought on the original KSI versus Joe Weller fight. His recent fight against Jake Paul was a professional one. It was on the undercard of a professional boxing bout, and he is...
Did Jake win that?
Jake won that. But Anderson Gibb, I will have to do a whole episode about him because he is the most hilarious and the biggest. He's easily the best boxing promoter there. It's like he just chats whatever he wants and it sticks. Okay. So we'll talk about him in another episode because I think it's just brilliant. Danny Duncan versus another empty slot. The TikTok empty slot side I don't believe has been filled at this point, but Danny Duncan I know is kind of not sure. He's kind of a not prankster, but kind of he does things out in the world. So you saw a little montage of what he did was like falling over with a hell of a lot of coins in the middle of the mall. See what people's reactions are, that kind of thing. Then we come to the co-main event, which is Deji versus Vinny Hacker. Now, first of all, have you heard of Vinny Hacker?
I have not heard of.
No, neither have I. Neither had I before this. Deji, obviously, has been part of our lives. You know, we're UK guys. We're 23. Yeah. Everyone our age knows who Deji and KSI are, which is something special. Deji, in the eyes of the UK public or the public around the world, has gone up and down. You know, there have been times when Deji's kind of been the laughing stock of KSI's little brother.
Yeah.
Deji fought in the first KSI versus Logan fight. He fought in the undercard. He fought Jake Paul. And he did really well.
Yeah.
He did really well. Easily the most impressive performance of the fight compared to what people thought would happen. He hasn't fought since then, which was August 25th, 2018.
Out of the game for a while, 3 years.
But from his social medias, it looks like he has been training.
Okay.
So people are very confused about this fight because Vinny Hacker is a very skinny guy, and Deji looks like he can pack a punch. And he's shown.
Which one? Do you know which one Vinny Hacker is?
Yeah, they're opposite each other on this. We're just looking at the poster. Right. So they're opposite each other. So when I've been talking about people, they've been opposite. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of people are suggesting
that doesn't seem like a fair matchup.
That's fine. If we haven't really talked about the whole event in general, I think it's fair to say we're on the YouTube side of this. TikTokers, easily. From what I've seen so far, it's not my cup of tea at all. And YouTube, on the face of it, if you look at just the content, the amount of production has to go into a YouTube video, it just shows that they put a whole lot more effort in the TikTok.
I feel like TikTok, you could make a cringy video and get away with it.
I think all of them are cringy and they get away with it.
But like, I don't know. I just feel like the TikTok videos that I do see are so cringy compared. Like I don't see how people watch it, but you know, I'm not gonna knock you. I mean, if you enjoy it, you enjoy it. Everyone enjoys different entertainment, so
I think Social Gloves have been very clever in their putting these two together, because the thing that's made people want to turn out for a boxing match with YouTubers so far is in YouTube there's always been beef. There's always been controversies, there's always been dickheads.
It's how people make their money and get their views up.
But people also hate it and they want to see a Jake Paul get knocked out. They want to see... So when YouTube boxing started, one of the reasons I believe it blew up so much is because you had two people, they clearly didn't like each other, or in some cases it was just friendly, but for the main events they didn't like each other, and crowds had a side and they wanted to see someone get knocked out. For KSI versus Logan, number one, that was the same year that Logan filmed the dead body in Japan, and he was all over the news and everyone hated him. People, even in America, when they went for the press conferences, people were cheering for KSI because they wanted to see Logan get knocked out.
I remember that.
With this event, they're like, pick a side. They're trying to stoke out the hatred or the kind of tribal stance of, you know, TikTok is whatever. We're going to go against
it. Create that rivalry. I mean, I guess that was there. Was there really a rivalry between TikTok and TikTokers and YouTube?
Well,
before,
different content.
You know, this? I guess. But you know, I guess they're trying to reinforce that and forcing people to choose a side now. So it's clever. It's clever marketing on their side. You know.
Exactly. I think it's fantastic.
I only just saw on the flyer there that it says for entertainment only. So I think they'll definitely be wearing those headgears.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think. As I say, Gibb, who isn't on this poster because at the time of the poster he hadn't been chosen, he's the only one which is a professional fighter. So he's the only one.
Is he up against another? Well,
no, he's up against Taylor Holder. So as I say, if he's the only one, then he's not up against anyone else. But my point was saying that you choose one side or the other. When we come to the main event, Two of the biggest, in terms of followers. You've got Austin McBroom on the YouTube side versus Bryce Hall. Both of these people have been smothered in controversy over their careers. Some very dangerous accusations to both of them. And so therefore, when you get to the main event, say Deji versus Vinny Hacker was the main event. Yeah. Everyone on the YouTube side has kind of a hunger for Deji to win, to do that comeback, especially he fought one of the most hated people in Jake Paul before. It'd be fantastic. When it comes to Austin McBroom versus Bryce Hall, I might be wrong here, but I get the feeling that, I'm team YouTube, but I don't necessarily want Austin McBroom, who's been full of horrible controversy, to win himself. What are your thoughts on that? I know you don't know them too well.
The first that I heard of this Austin McBroom guy was, I read an article about the Ace family in general and how horrible they are, and apparently they use their kids to get views. But that's all I knew about them. And Bryce Hall, all I knew was him and Addison Rae broke up.
I didn't even know that. I don't know.
That's literally all I knew about him. So.
Well, we're gonna watch a little video now about Bryce Hall, because he has been full of controversy. We could have just watched a Bryce Hall video, but I don't really want to give him any views anyway. So we're going to watch a Jackmate video. It's one of his Rank Bank videos on Bryce Hall, and then afterwards we'll gain a little bit, maybe a tinted view on Bryce Hall, but it'll be a funny video, and we'll just give our reaction to it. So yeah. And hopefully we'll know a little bit more about the main event star for the TikTok side.
Hopefully then I can make my mind up about who I want to win.
I think you'll definitely know that you want Austin McBroom to win after this fight. Right, so that was the Jackmate video on Bryce Hall. I'm just gonna let you go.
Why? I thought this was finished. I guess I've been out of the scene. I thought since Logan Paul, him supposedly getting cancelled, I thought YouTube in general would have got rid of people like this. Not only is he a dickhead, he also engages in Nazi behaviours, apparently. So, does he think he's R. Kelly pissing on people as well? I hope he ends up like R. Kelly. Pissing on people, pissing on his young fans. I really do hope he ends up like R. Kelly.
Well, I don't think he's not going to become it. He's already doing some of it. By the way, in the Jackmate video, a few of Bryce's controversies have been pointed out. First of all, he's got to be talking about the fact that he pissed on a load of his fans at an event which he's now banned to. What do you think about that then, Ty?
Like I said before, mate, I really do hope that either someone knocks him out in the street, not in a ring, or I don't want to say he gets cancelled, because people like him won't be cancelled because they've got loyal fans. But yeah, I just hope that he's no longer around.
Cancel culture is there are negatives to it and positives to it. I don't think cancel needs to be used. Just him never be famous again, get no more clout, no more money. The reason why I showed you this video is because we were unsure about who to support in the main event. Remember, both of the main event people, both Austin McBroom and Bryce Hall, had been full of controversy, but I think it's fair to say who you're supporting now.
Honestly, I wanted to stop halfway through that video. If it wasn't for Jackmate, I don't think I could have watched it.
Credit for Jackmate for making some hilarious content, by the way. But yeah, he's hilarious.
That was cringy.
Yeah,
all the little clips they put in of him, the supposedly party, and also I don't know if you're gonna include like a thumbnail of the video, but that photo that Jack had behind him, Bryce looked sexually anonymous.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting. For those of you listening, if you're listening on in a podcast, you can go to our YouTube channel, and I'll put up a photo just for you, Ty, just because you want to. They did show a montage. Another one of the controversies that he talked about was the fact that during the height of COVID wave in America, who hasn't been doing too well with the old COVID, he had a massive house party, but in the montage I counted about 5 people. I imagine he did have a load of people though, think about the leeches and the people that would want to get a free bar, as we've just discussed, get some free booze and get some clout from him. But in that montage, it was just a load of dudes.
How was he?
Chilling.
There's just so many questions. I guess maybe this is why I don't really keep up with YouTube stuff.
Well, because things like this
people
annoy
like him and Logan Paul and Jake Paul. It's like, how are they still relevant?
To be fair, he is a TikToker because he's on the TikTok side. He's on the right. He's on the right. That makes him TikTok side. No, we've Jake and Logan Paul. Of course, we'll talk about Jake Paul a little bit later. In fact, we'll get into it in a minute. But yeah, just so now, I think I was saying earlier about the promoters of this event are using hate to drive views, to drive emotion into the fight.
Yeah.
Now, are you watching this fight? Are you watching this fight, the last fight?
I won't pay my money for it. I'll say that now. I won't pay money to watch that. I'll probably watch the highlights after.
Fair enough. But you're emotionally invested.
Yeah, I am.
Basically,
I really
you want to
do
see this
hope
Twiglet get
that he
knocked out.
gets battered. I hope it's not like a first round stop. I hope it's like a 6-round fight, and for the whole 6th round, he just gets constantly punched in the face, annihilated.
Nice. Well, it's good to know you're very peaceful and passive in this situation.
You see, I said it calm.
Yeah, after the 10 minutes of anger, we've just watched the Jackmate video on Bryce Hall, by the way, and I've just been looking at Ty boiling up, obviously having to keep quiet while the video goes on, but boiling up and then just waiting to hear what he's going to say once.
Yeah, I feel like I know all I need to know about Bryce Hall now.
That's fair enough. We will potentially talk a little bit more about the TikTok versus YouTubers in another podcast. It's just that I don't know too much about most of the people boxing. I should have done more research, but we will do some more. We will hopefully talk about it a little bit more closer to the day, and we'll definitely do another one on Anderson Gibb, because Anderson Gibb is easily the person I'm supporting most in this fight.
Okay.
So yeah, moving on to our second kind of subject of this podcast, we're going to be talking about Jake Paul. Now, Jake Paul. First of all, do you like Jake Paul?
No.
Okay,
really.
good. So you're a human being. Jake Paul, long history of being hated, but has recently, in the last few years, turned his career into a boxing career of sorts, and annoyingly, it's been pretty successful. You see, Jake Paul, his first boxing match was. We're going to go through a list of Jake Paul boxing matches, by the way, but the first boxing match. It was actually on the undercard of the first KSI versus Logan Paul match, where he fought Deji, KSI's little brother. It was kind of the little brother versus the little brother thing, and Deji did surprisingly well. I don't know if this was on the podcast or before the podcast. Yeah. I was saying Deji was easily the person that surprised the most people by doing it, because Jake Paul is a big guy, he's an athletic guy, and Deji is KSI's little brother. So.
Didn't he go to split decision? Well,
no, Deji's corner threw the towel in, but Jake Paul was bloodied and battered.
So long ago. I honestly cannot.
I know. We should do reactions, but we're a podcast, so you couldn't really see us. The second fight, so when it was KSI versus Logan Paul 2, this was being promoted by Eddie Hearn, and it was a professional boxing fight. Anderson Gibb was basically the audience wanted Anderson Gibb to fight Jake Paul, because Anderson Gibb had done spectacularly well in the fights he'd done so far, battering and bruising, and he was also. Do you know who the TGF Bros are? Jay Swindler from the TGF Bros fought Anderson Gibb, and it was the fight of the night. Okay. We might watch that and react to it at another time. So people were begging for Anderson Gibb, who had looked like the strongest fighter out of all of the YouTubers, to fight Jake Paul, because they wanted to see Jake Paul get knocked out. However, it didn't quite go that way. They got their own fight. It was in Miami. It was live on DAZN in January 2020. However, it was very disappointing. Unfortunately, Gibb got knocked out. You say knocked out as a TKO in the first round. Did you see that fight?
I did not.
I think we should actually watch it now. We were gonna watch it just now. We will look at other fights, but I think this is just annoyingly. Actually, you know what? We'll save this for the Gibb podcast, because I don't want your first views of Anderson Gibb to be him getting knocked out by Jake Paul. The fight was very not controversial, but basically Gibb had a very low stance when he was boxing. Yeah. And it meant that a couple of times he was off balance. One time he just got knocked down and he put his knee down. But before the fight, the referee they'd signed an agreement saying that if you go down 3 times throughout the match, we're calling it. Okay. And in the first round, I think 2 out of those 3 times, it was just the fact that Gibb was off balance.
Okay.
And it was just the fact that 2 times off balance, 1 time knocked down. The thing was thrown very
Still
early.
The rule, though.
It was made for because these are professional boxers, but they weren't.
Yeah, but I think that's the general rule in boxing is 3 knockdowns in 1 round, and that's it.
Yeah, this was 3 knockdowns in the entire fight.
In the
it
entire
did happen
fight?
in the first round, but the rule,
wow.
they made this rule. I'm not sure. We'll have to look that up at another time, but I'm not sure that is the case. But so Jake Paul using this kind of I've beaten the people wanted to see. He went to fight more and more celebrities. The Paul brothers were trying to big up their hype by fighting more and more celebrities. There was talk at the time of Logan Paul fighting Antonio Brown, who had recently been released from the Patriots, I believe, or one of the releases he's been from. He's been through loads of teams in the NFL at the moment. And Jake Paul got a boxing match to fight Nate Robinson. Now, I'm pretty sure you knew how that went. Or you want to talk about that fight?
It's just, I honestly do not know why someone like good doesn't step up and fight him. End it right now. We won't have to hear about it anymore. Just one person needs to knock him out, end the hype train, and that'll be it.
Well, annoyingly, it's like the people that have stepped up at the time of people seeing what Jake Paul could do. People assumed that they would beat him. So, for example, with Gibb did phenomenally in his fights before he was fighting Jake Paul, and Jake Paul had only barely won against Deji. So people were like, "Oh, Gibb will go in there and take him down," and then Jake Paul beat him.
Yeah, but also on that, you could say it's people who should beat him because they performed so well in their past fight. But Jake Paul's got a really good boxing coach, so he has the advantage already.
He's been taking this very seriously.
Yeah, and he looks like he's just been constantly in the gym, working hard. And do these other people take it that seriously?
Well, Gibb went to fight camp. He went away and did a fight camp for however long it was, and you can see.
And he got knocked out in the first round.
TKO in the first round.
Wow.
It was. I would personally say it's because of his stance. It wasn't anything else. Nate Robertson. People were saying that obviously he's not a boxer, but people were suggesting because he's an athlete, he would have the stamina and therefore do it. Obviously, they were completely wrong. And Jake Paul, I think Snoop Dogg's "Oh Lord" while he was getting knocked out was hilarious, but it meant that Jake Paul was open and continuing his undefeated professional boxing career. And then recently he fought Ben Askren. Now, Ben Askren was a talk of hot topic because Ben Askren is an MMA fighter for the UFC, but he is There's 2 types of fighters in the UFC. There are the boxers, talking Conor McGregor, he does striking very well, and then there's the ground grapplers, and Ben Askren is very much in the camp of he's a grappler, he's a wrestler. Now, this is a boxing fight. Obviously, Ben Askren was, if you were to look at this from an outside point of view, you go, this is a YouTuber versus a professional fighter. Obviously, the professional fighter is going to win, but if you knew anything about it, you know that Jake Paul's 2-0 in professional boxing, and Ben Askren, if you looked at any of his sparring video, you will see that he is not a striker.
He's never been a great striker, I don't think, Ben. You look at some of his fights, and he always goes to the grapple. It's how he got knocked out against Masvidal. He was going for a grapple straight off the hook, and So, I mean, even before this fight, I wasn't expecting Ben to win. I know I said that I wasn't going to be impressed if just fight an actual boxer. Fight someone. You don't even have to fight someone that's been fighting for years. Just fight someone who's got like a 5-0 record. Or even like one of those journeyman fighters, the ones that has like 20 losses and 2 wins. Just fight someone who's been in the sport for a while.
And who's a striker. Yeah, I think it's fair to say that, ironically, Jake Paul fighting a real fighter, this match, more people were convinced Jake Paul would win compared to his other fights, which is hilarious because he was fighting other YouTubers. But you're right, Ben Askren, he turned up to the weigh-in and dad bod. Did you see him? He had completely, don't get me wrong, he's a professional fighter, all respect to him, but he did not look in shape. The videos of him sparring before the event were just seemed like he had no power, and there's a little bit of conspiracy theory going on that
I've seen that.
Jake Paul paid him off. Now, the reasons why This is the court of law. I'll lay out the offensive facts. First of all, you look at Ben Askren's career. While he's not a striker, there are a lot of videos going around social media of him getting absolutely pummeled on the ground in fights, in MMA fights, that he then goes on to win. In this boxing match, Jake Paul gets one good shot on it. Don't get me wrong, Jake Paul was dominating, but he gets the first good shot, and Ben Askren immediately lights out, immediately flops straight to the ground. I personally don't believe it is, but that is when you look at it like that and you watch some of the videos of Ben Askren getting pummeled on the ground, how is this the same guy?
He's always had a strong chin, hasn't he? And I mean, I think, how much money did Ben get out of this?
No, we don't know.
Easily well over $1 million. I'd fake being knocked up for $1 million.
I would. It's also
he's retired already.
Yeah.
It's not like he's a YouTuber or anything, so you know he's gonna have to constantly deal with comments, or like YouTube comments every time he makes a video.
Yeah.
Ben's just gonna go back into retirement training people. That's
exactly.
But he's what I'm guessing at least maybe 2 million richer.
I would say potentially
easily,
more.
Yeah.
Especially when you count in the fees for the actual fight.
I mean, I would take that.
Second bit of evidence is, I don't know if you saw the footage of him leaving the ring with his wife laughing. Now, you've just got knocked out by one of the most hated people on the planet.
He's literally laughing all the way to the bank.
Laughing, that's been used a lot.
Exactly. Laughing all the way to the bank. And I would be too as well. I would be.
Yeah.
If I was in that situation.
You're talking about, if me and you aren't, well off at all, but 2 million, we're sorted for life. Like, we could live off 2 million. If there's any sponsors out there for 2 million, we'll take that. But for wanting to play devil's advocate, or not, that's the wrong term in this case, but for wanting to be fair, talking about the defense of this conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Number one is just the fact that to get something like that in professional sport that was broadcast, potentially more difficult, especially to sell it. Some people would say that he didn't sell it very well, and that's why this conspiracy theory has come up in the first place. But what are your thoughts on general kind of foul play or throwing it or fixing the books in professional sports?
I didn't, like I said before, I don't think it was fixed, I think right from the start, Ben knew that this was a big payday, and he didn't have to train for it. I think I've seen a video of Dana White encouraging him to find a train and start actually training because he didn't want Jake Paul to know, because now you can see the results.
It also ruins the UFC's reputation.
So see the results of that. So I really don't want to give Jake Paul credit. I'm sorry.
That's another part of the defense, which is that are people just so annoyed that Jake Paul won that they're willing to concoct this cauldron of conspiracy theory because they don't want to believe that Jake Paul has actually beaten a professional fighter? Because Jake Paul does not deserve any credit, but he fought and won against a professional fighter.
A retired professional fighter. We have to emphasise that.
Neither of us have done that.
A retired professional fighter.
Yeah.
Someone who's had his career, how long has he been out to the UFC? 2 years? I'd come back. One last Romeo. Mm-hmm. Make that money and then retire for life, That's an extra house.
What, 2 million? That's an extra couple of houses depending on what your tastes are like. And the last bit of evidence before I throw up for trying to support Jake Paul was just the fact that if you were a UFC fighter who had a distinguished career, your career's over, he's certainly not a poor man, he's got enough money. Would you... We don't know his personal circumstances or how connected he is to social media and the outside world. Would you throw away your reputation? Because he has. There's not thrown away. Sorry, he's lost a lot or all of his reputation. Would you throw that away for we don't know how much he's earned in his career, but a fraction of what you've earned in your career? Would you do that and throw away your career, your legacy? That's the big word, legacy, that he's thrown away here. If he has been paid off.
I understand the legacy thing, but also I think it was Jake Paul that accused Dana White of not paying his fighters enough. I know there's a few other fighters from the UFC that accused Dana White of not paying. So did Ben make that much? I'm sure he had a few big fights, but you don't really. I don't know how much you make roughly, but I'm sure this would have been big, Ben Askren's biggest payday.
Yeah, well,
and I would. Looking at it from like a business side, you know, what was that? Then
we're just looking at Ben Askren's base of pay. None of the figures we're seeing here are over $1 million, which is surprising to us. When we're talking about money, sorry to change the subject, we're just going to watch now the last kind of video before the end of this podcast. We're just going to look at Jake Paul's video when he called out Conor McGregor. Now, this was before the Ben Askren fight was announced. As much as I hate Jake Paul, it was a very suave video. You know, if this was Conor McGregor calling him out and saying the insults and stuff that he did, you know, we'd be loving it. But it's Jake Paul, so you have to stop yourself from gagging and throwing up while you're watching it. But we'll just give that a watch now. Okay, so we've just watched the Jake Paul. Had you seen that before?
Yeah, I actually have. And
so the comments,
I think
the insults he threw out
being straight out like disrespectful about Conor's wife. I think you know what, he got a reaction he wanted out of me the first time, you know, being so disrespectful. And that's all he's trying to do is get a reaction from people, and at the moment he's attracting this reaction. I just, you know, he keeps saying about certain people ducking him because he's going after certain people to fight, but he's also been ducking people, you know.
Of course he's been ducking people.
Tommy Fury, so-called, you know, famous
Tommy
person.
Fury can also,
you know, both of them. I feel like that's a good fight right there.
If you bring out Tommy Fury, he's also been someone that's been paired against people that are way below his level.
Yeah, but he's just starting out his professional career. That's usual. He's taking it seriously. Yeah, your first fight is like against nobody, and you're gonna win it easily.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the first fight. You talk about the fourth or fifth one where you know the level.
He's still like Anthony Joshua didn't start fighting like decent people till like 5 or 6 fights in.
Well, his professional career.
Yeah, his professional career. You have to. That's how you build your way up.
Okay.
You don't want to put your fight in there straight away with someone good, and then, you know, it kills their confidence, you know. But yeah, I think Tommy Fury and Jake Paul, that would make a fantastic fight. I'd pay top dollar to watch that. 50 quid.
50 quid for that.
I would. I actually would. Like, that would be a good fight to watch.
Are you paying that to watch a good fight, or are you paying that to see Jake Paul get knocked out? Because I would pay more money to watch Jake Paul get knocked out than I would to pay for a good fight with Jake Paul included.
A bit of both.
If you can have both, that's fine.
A bit of both.
I don't know. I'd rather pay to just get Jake Paul getting humiliated for 12 rounds and then knocked out.
Yeah. I don't think, like, I feel like knowing Tommy and knowing that Tyson Fury is going to talk to him, I think he would tell him, don't knock him out straight away. Punish him. You know, punish him for however many rounds, and then, you know, when you're tired of punishing him, just knock him out, finish him, you know.
And the reason why Jake Paul
I would pay 50 quid for that, watching him getting punished and then knocked out.
Well, you've got a lot more money than I do, that's for certain. I think the reason Jake Paul's trying to find that fine line of either he fights someone that's got a lot of clout, like Conor McGregor, who he knows he's going to lose to, let's face it, but he either wants to fight someone who's got who's massive, like Conor McGregor, or he wants to fight someone who he knows can beat. Yeah. So far, he's only fought people he knows he can beat. And Tommy Fury is in the range where, let's face it, he's not a Conor McGregor yet. He's not a Tyson Fury yet. But he knows he will beat him, so he's not in any of the categories of either being an easy fight or a lot of clout. So that's why I think that fight won't happen.
I just hope that, you know, someone decent, you know, I'm not saying he has to fight a professional, or a seasoned professional, just find someone that's not a bum.
Not a bum.
Yeah.
Well, as we'll see in in an upcoming podcast about Anderson Gibb is no bum. You take that back. Is there anything else you want to say about Jake Paul before we move on to the small announcement?
No, that's it.
Okay,
yeah.
So Logan Paul will be fighting Floyd Mayweather in the. Did you know about that?
Wait, is this actually happening?
This is actually happening. The greatest fighter of all time will be fighting Logan Paul, who is 0-1 as a professional boxer.
I saw this on Instagram and I just thought it was another meme again, you know.
This is real.
It's got dates and venues and actually.
Yeah, it's been moved back because of COVID, but it is confirmed fight for June 6th in Miami.
Is it just like an exhibition fight then?
Well, it's not going to be for anything. He's not going to be fighting for.
No, but like they're not going to be taking it like properly, like knocking people out. So.
Well, I imagine
exhibition.
They're both going to be training. But there's be a boxing fight.
Okay.
Obviously, Floyd Mayweather will be training so that he doesn't get knocked out. Because let's not forget, you look at the size of these two people. Logan Paul is massive compared to Floyd Mayweather.
Nah.
You
Floyd
don't think?
Mayweather took it. Yeah, he is massive, but Floyd Mayweather.
I'm not
Yeah.
for one moment suggesting that he's going to lose to Logan Paul. I'm just saying that
The size difference is
Floyd
there.
Mayweather will want to train just because of the size difference, just in case the size difference causes any. He wants to train to prepare for that because in his professional fight, due to the facts of professional boxing, you can't fight someone above your weight,
Yeah.
and he wouldn't have faced anyone like this before, apart from when he faced the Big Show in WrestleMania 24. But I think that was a little bit more match.
Yeah.
That wasn't as fixed as the Jake Paul fight, but it was still fixed as it was. But with Logan Paul, obviously, he knows what a monumental opponent Mayweather will be, so he will training so that he doesn't get as humiliated as he would be if he didn't train. So I do believe that they both will be training for that reason. Cool. Well, that's been the end of our podcast on YouTube. I say YouTube boxing. I want to do one on the history of YouTube boxing, where we'll talk more about Anasong Gibb, who I'm fanboying over. But I think I know a lot more. I realised after while we're recording this podcast, that I didn't do enough research into the YouTube versus TikTok's card, which is what this whole podcast is about, but I did know a lot about the Jake Paul stuff. But with the YouTube boxing side and history of that, I know quite a lot about that, so we'll be able to discuss it, and I'll be able to hopefully, we can talk a lot more about in depth and details.
I look forward to that.
Yeah, it would be good. Yeah. We're not entirely sure what our next podcast will be, but we have just recorded a match report. One of our new series called Match Report, where we talk about a football match or a sporting event which has just happened. We just talked about the Chelsea Real Madrid match.
Trying to predict the final, mate.
Say again.
Trying to predict the final.
Chelsea
Man City.
Chelsea going through. I'm a Chelsea fan, by the way. Ty is an Arsenal fan, but no, I'm not at all confident as I was in the first 20 minutes. Okay. Yep, so thanks for listening to our podcast. I hope you found it entertaining. If you did, then please feel free to subscribe and rate our podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, or wherever it is that you're listening to us, so that we can, because it really does help us out. It does give us a little bit of traction and hopefully gets people listening to our young podcast. You can follow us on our social medias and you can contact us on them as well. On Twitter, we're at S_bandwagon. On Instagram, we are Where's the Bandwagon. But I'll also be uploading clips of the podcast to our YouTube channel, so you can check that out if that's how you prefer to listen to it. Please subscribe and share and all that lovely stuff, because it does help us out. Catch you next time. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.